I wanted the media and observers to know that a lot of us have a problem with Blake Lively and what she has done to an innocent man.
Hi, and welcome to Blossom Talk. I'm Kjersti Flaa, and here on my channel I talk about my good and bad experiences in Hollywood and working as an entertainment reporter. So everyone keeps talking about the premiere of Another Simple Favor that was happening on Friday, and one person got a lot of attention. She showed up protesting at the premiere, and I have her here as a guest today. Her name on YouTube is Colonel Kurtz. Maybe you've seen some of her videos. She uploaded a video yesterday where she showed what was happening when she was protesting justice for Justin, and she had a shirt saying Blake lied. So I asked her a lot about the response that she got, because she was on the cover. She was like the main story on Daily Mail. Variety did a story. I mean, she was everywhere, and she was alone doing that, which I thought was really badass. So I'm going to talk to her about that in this episode. Oh my God, there was just an earthquake here. Whew. Anyways, please welcome my infamous guest, Colonel Kurtz. Colonel Kurtz, thank you so much for joining me here on Blossom Talk. I am so impressed with your stunt on Friday in front of everyone at South by Southwest at the premiere of Another Simple Favor. Tell us what you did.
Well, so I live in Texas and just about an hour or so down the road from Austin. And so, by the way, for some of my haters and critics online who were saying, can you believe this loser drove all the way to Austin for this? It wasn't that far to drive, but I would have driven a lot farther to have done this because I was the only protester there, which I expected. I didn't think anyone else would show up because it is kind of an intimidating thing to do. You don't really know what you're getting into, right? But I've done this sort of thing before, and I think of it really as a kind of performance art. In a way, it's a stunt, and I know that it's laughable and ridiculous, and a lot of people ridicule me for it or think, what is this freak show doing? But also, it gets the word out. And what I wanted, there were two things that I wanted. I wanted the media and observers to know that a lot of us have a problem with Blake Lively and what she has done to an innocent man. And so I knew that she was going to be getting a lot of love in the media for this big new premiere. And I just wanted someone to be out there at the premiere holding up a sign, standing up for Justin Baldoni and calling Blake Lively out for what she has done. So I knew people would laugh. And it's funny, I was laughing too. I was cracking up.
I
My
saw that.
I brought my significant other there. That was in the video too. He was cracking up. So yeah, I don't think that I'm some serious protester, but I do think that I achieved what I wanted, which is to get the word out that there are a lot of us who have big problems with what Blake Lively has done, and we're not just going to forget about it and celebrate her new movie.
I think it's amazing how much attention you got in the press. One person, and I saw you everywhere, and I was like, I know her. I've seen her. I've seen your show on YouTube, which is amazing. You guys, you have to go and check her out. I'll plug everything about her in the description. But were you surprised about all the coverage you got?
I really was shocked, to be honest with you. And let me just say that if I had known that I was going to get that kind of coverage, I would have fixed my hair better. And I would have put my title or my web address or something on my poster, because although my image was disseminated, like you said, everywhere, I don't think there was one article that mentioned my name, that actually identified the show that I was with or anything. And they could have found that information, very easily. In fact, I was saying it there as part of my protest. I was telling some of the people filming me and a couple of the, I think, journalists who were asking me some questions who I was, but they just don't want to do that. And you know why? Because they want to get their big moments to sell their papers or to sell their website, but they don't want to actually give content creators like us credit for what we're doing. And that's the mainstream media for you. But yeah, I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. I think the most shocking headline was when I saw that I was breaking news on the Daily Mail front page, and they were claiming the article title was that I had brutally hijacked Blake Lively's premiere. And so when I saw that, I was I was like, wow.
Oh my God. It's funny when you say that because, I am also, or I've been a part of the mainstream media for so many years. And so for me, it's all these mixed feelings around, not taking mainstream media seriously and creators seriously. And now I have kind of one foot here and one foot there. But I completely see your point there. And I mean, my words have been twisted around so
Oh,
many times as well. So yeah. No, so I was gonna ask you, did anyone kind of react negatively to you? Were people like, oh, women hater? Or, did anyone say anything like that?
I was surprised that no one did. I got almost no negativity or hostility. I made a joke toward the end of the video about, I got to get out of here so I don't get beaten up. But actually, I got almost no negativity or hostility from anyone. The only thing that was a little bit, I guess you could say, disapproving, there was a woman standing in front of me, and through the whole process of these different celebrities walking the rope line, so to speak, right? And so I had a friend of mine next to me I was talking to, and my significant other was there as well, and so we were kind of chatting through the whole thing, and so we were talking shit about Blake Lively, obviously, for obvious reasons. And then also we got onto a conversation about how Austin has really gone downhill in the last 5 to 10 years. Anyway, so the woman in front of me, she finally turns around and heads out. And as she's passing by, she says, perhaps you can come up with one positive thing to say before this day is over.
Well,
But, but no, in terms of what you mean, like Blake supporters or anything, no, I didn't. There were actually a number of people in the crowd who were laughing at me in like a funny way, and like, I
I
can't
saw
believe she's
that.
doing this. And then I was stopped by a number of people who saw my sign and said, "Oh, I've been paying attention to that," or whatever, and would get into a conversation with me. And I have some of those interviews still to come out. But to be honest with you, I think the overall attitude that I got from people that I talked to and encountered there is that a lot of people have heard something about this whole controversy, but they still don't really know much about it. And I hate to say this honestly, but most of the people that I interviewed felt that there was probably wrongdoing on both sides. This sort of, well, I heard that they both did stuff. And
Mm.
I think that that just shows that some of the we content creators still have our work cut out for us. Explaining, getting the message across to people that no, there actually is a clear aggressor here. There is someone who is attacking someone else, an innocent man. And instead of this sort of equivalent, oh, they both did something. I don't know if you found that attitude or not, but I found that a lot.
Completely. And it's interesting because I'm here in Hollywood and you would expect people to follow this very closely. And I was talking about this on here on my channel the other day that, I met an actor at a party, at an Oscar party, and he was like, well, Justin Baldoni is kind of a creep. And I was like, have you actually followed this case since you saw that
Exactly.
article in New York Times? And he was like, not really. So I see that, that, people just read headlines here and there and that's it. And I think also that's why probably Blake Lively showed up at that premiere, because that's how people read the news. You read one headline here and one there, and now Google is filled with like Blake Lively at the red carpet, smiling,
Right.
beautiful, so happy and positive, and everyone loves her, and she loves everyone. Were you surprised that she walked up to fans and taking selfies with them and stuff?
I actually was. And I want to be always fair about how I judge these people and I judge these situations. And so I'll give Blake Lively props for that one thing, that she had some guts to do that, because it does take guts. I mean, she didn't know if there was someone out there who would have been legitimately problematic. I was just kind of doing some occasional funny heckling, but she didn't know what she was getting into. And so look, I do give her props for some courage there, but it's in the service of being a horrible person. And what would be really courageous would be for Blake to declare, look, y'all, I've screwed up. Justin
Yeah.
Baldoni didn't harass me. He wasn't a toxic person. I'm sorry I did this. I'm going to go away for a while. That would be the most courageous thing. And I continue to think she should do that, but she won't do that. So I'm sure that Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively did hear me screaming though as they were coming by. And by the way, I really tried not to make myself a continual nuisance. I wanted to make my voice heard for 30 seconds and get my poster up there. But it's not like I was following Blake Lively around heckling or anything. It was really, I just stood in one place and the stars came by. And when they would get in front of me, I would scream something at them, right? So when Anna came by, and I got this on video, I said, sorry you had to work with Blake, Anna. Sorry you had to work with Blake. And people around me were laughing. And then when Blake came by, I was screaming, justice for Justin, justice for Justin. So I think that they heard me, but I got no acknowledgement there,
It
which
was
I wouldn't
interesting
expect.
because when I watched your video, I felt like they were screaming when Anna came out, but they were screaming a lot louder for Blake
They
Lively.
weren't.
Was that the experience you had? Were people just screaming of joy? Were they actually louder when she arrived?
Yeah, they were. And by the way, I just want to say, I'm sorry, I'm getting over a cold. So,
Yeah,
not the most
don't worry.
attractive thing I know, but there's really nothing else to do besides get snot
Yeah,
everywhere. Um, yeah, to be totally honest, the crowd was enthusiastic when Blake Lively came by, at least around where I was, and they were a lot more enthusiastic for her. But the sense that I got from standing around there and talking to people around me is that there weren't a lot of Blake Lively fans per se. It was really just people who were either fans of the movie or fans of or just saw that there was something going on here and decided to line up and see if they could see a movie star. I didn't get the sense that there was really much of a team Lively there. Now I see that the director's wife was
yeah.
pretending to be a fan in the audience.
In the audience too, because I saw
Yeah.
her comments on social media, which I was like, oh no, don't go there. Did you see that?
I did. Yeah. So this
Yeah,
is like the newest breaking news that I just saw this morning, so to speak, is that some people are talking about the fact that apparently there is footage of Paul, is it Feig? How do you say his
yeah,
last name?
yeah, Fig.
Paul Feig's wife, who, yes, has been hypercritical of Justin Baldoni and his supporters, but Paul Feig's wife pretending to be a fan on the rope line and like taking pictures with Blake and stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. It's
Oh
not,
my God, I didn't see that.
yeah, you should check it out. And of course, like you said, she's made a number of inflammatory comments. Of course, free country and she has a right to express her opinion. But it's really when I see the director's wife's responses to this whole controversy and she's saying things like she's calling us women-hating Trumpers. And at that point, when people use that kind of rhetoric, I'm just like, okay,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. No, it's interesting you say that she was in the behind the line there because I saw some footage where Blake Lively walked up to fans and then she goes over and hugs this guy as she knows him. I'm like, why would he be there if he's your friend so much as like you go up and
Right.
you recognize him and you give him a hug? That's just like so weird to me. I've never seen that before either. Then you are inside and you're going to watch the movie, and but that he was actually there was actually a person there that she already knew. Obviously, some people have been speculating that these people have been paid, but now when you say that Paul Feig's wife was one of them, what do you think? Do you think it's that cynical?
I think probably in this situation, we probably can't be too cynical
Yeah.
in a way. But I don't know if they were paying people or if they just decided that they were going to have the audience to some degree stacked with some people to pretend to be fans. And so I don't know. It would be interesting to know how many people who were there cheering and in the rope line were actually people that I don't know about paid, but people that had been told to show up there for Blake Lively and for the premiere. So I don't know. My sense was that just talking to people in the audience, it was mostly just a bunch of people who were there for South by Southwest and just wanted to see some stars, right? But the fact that there were people in the audience, like Paul Feig's wife and the person that you're talking about, pretending basically to kind of be, fans, to me, it's a little sketchy. Yeah.
When you've seen the coverage now afterwards, you've seen interviews with Anna and Blake. What's your take on that whole situation? What was going on? Everyone says like, oh, Anna was just keeping her distance. Is that your experience too, watching the being there actually? Because I mean, you saw this live.
Well, I was not inside the actual premiere. Unfortunately, I couldn't get in there. But yes, but I was outside able to see some of these interactions. And then just looking at the video too from the premiere, Anna definitely looks uncomfortable. She looked uncomfortable to me when I saw her coming through as well. Very nice to everyone, but uncomfortable. And then you see her in that video standing next to Blake. And I don't know if it's that Anna was really uncomfortable, or if there's just such a difference in styles between the two of them. But you see Anna just standing there basically the whole time with sort of hunched shoulders, her hands sort of together, clutching her microphone, and she's just kind of like this. And then Blake,
Yeah.
I was amazed at how overly emotive or Blake was with her gesticulations. Is that just, I mean, I've watched a lot of videos, interviews with her, including the one that you did, right? But to me, she seemed particularly animated. And so I have to think that was some kind of nervousness, or she's overcompensating. She wants people to think, oh, I'm not embarrassed or worried at all. You know, see, I'm having a great time. I'm really into this. But she was moving wildly in that video.
She was. So tell me, was there anything else that happened outside throughout your protest that is worth mentioning, that you were like, oh, I wasn't expecting that?
Well, I think that in general, just there was a real lack of enthusiasm among the crowd, except for when a celebrity would show up. And so a lot of people there, it was really kind of a sad, lackluster event. And most of the time there weren't even, can you hear me okay still?
Yeah, yeah.
Most of the time, until the stars started coming through and you hear people screaming, there really wasn't even much of a crowd. But I interviewed a number of people, or talked to a number of people who didn't want to be on camera, but they had some funny things to say. And I got actually a lot of comments still about Johnny Depp, because when I would try to explain the Blake Lively situation to people who didn't know, a number of them, the only way I could kind of make it click, was to say, well, it's like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And then they're like, oh, yeah, yeah, okay. And so I think it's funny, or it's interesting how the whole Amber Heard thing has become she's become such a byword for manipulative Me Too hoaxers, that all you have to do is just say that, oh, it's like Amber Heard. And they're like, oh, okay, okay. But I think that it was definitely funny to be there with my significant other, who has no interest in this story whatsoever. He's not into what he terms celebrity gossip, and so he's a like ex-army guy, real sort
Oh,
of
wow.
stereotypical like alpha male and stuff like that. You know, wants to watch history documentaries, or wants to watch, you know, war documentaries or whatever. And so when I start talking the celebrity stuff, his eyes just glaze over. So I was surprised he even wanted to accompany me to this, but I'm grateful he did. It was helpful to have him there. But it was funny because I would be freaking out over stuff like, "Oh my god, did you see that? I just saw Anna Kendrick. I got her on tape." Or, "Did you see me yelling at Blake Lively there or whatever?" And I'd turn around and he's just kind of just standing there.
um,
Oh man.
what was I gonna say? Yeah, do you think it was a good idea from Blake to actually show up?
That really cuts both ways, because it's kind of like the Saturday Night Live
Yeah.
anniversary special party, right? Because it really goes to invalidate, I think, her argument that she is under so much emotional stress and strain from what supposedly Justin Baldoni, she says, is doing to her, or Team Baldoni is doing to her. And so when you're claiming that you can't get out of bed, but then you're here not only at a premiere, but like smiling, beaming, you know, gesticulating wildly, doing your little strip tease on the red carpet. I know there was a bunch of resistance to Melanie's post about the fact that she did that costume change. And no one's saying that was some horrible thing or whatever. But the point is, I think that the attitude this woman, Blake Lively, should be projecting is that she's really afflicted and beaten down with all of this, and she's really going through hell, and she needs to try to be in some way sympathetic. And instead, she's going out there acting like, you know, she owns the world, you know, taking off the dress and all of this and stuff. So I just don't think that's a good look for her. I think
No.
it was, I mean, do you?
No, I totally agree with you. And I think in front of a jury, if it ever gets to that, that's a terrible move. And she even said, like, someone asked, how was it back to be back with Anna? And she said, oh, she's the best. I'm so happy to be here. It's like, I'm so happy. Yeah, then there's like, you won't get any sympathy from people if you're just like pretend like nothing. So I thought it was a terrible move. And the thing is, she's getting a lot of attention. She's getting all the attention. If she wasn't there, this movie would have just like passed along, you know, like a lot of movies do, especially since it's going straight to streaming, I
Right.
think. So she just kind of hijacked the attention from everyone. And I feel it's sad for all the cast members who can't even post about the movie on social media without closing off the comment section. I saw Henry Golding today. He posted about it, and he had like 2,000 likes almost and 11 comments. He hadn't closed off the comment section, so he must have hired someone to just sit and delete, 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 delete. You
Oh,
don't get 11 comments on 2,000 likes. It just
no.
doesn't work like that. So
No, and, I just wanted to say too that it's unfortunate that other people have been dragged into this. It's unfortunate for the members of the cast of that movie who seem like lovely people to have to be dealing with this. There's a lot of collateral damage in these situations. And here's the thing that I want people to remember though. It's very easy to forget who started this and just to start getting distracted by what these content creators and these people on Twitter are putting Blake Lively through. Like, well, what the response that we get so much, like, why do you care what she does, or why do you criticize her, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Everyone's just giving her such a hard time, but she's the one who started this by aggressively going after what turns out to be a totally innocent man and an entire production studio and trying to destroy them. And so everything from that point on, everything that Justin Baldoni, that Team Baldoni does, that we do, also those of us content creators covering this, everything that's being done now is defensive. And I just defensive against this woman and these attacks. And it would be one thing if Blake Lively would recant or relent and say, this was a mistake, sorry, I'm dropping all this, whatever. I don't know that necessarily she should be forgiven, so to speak, but if she did that, then a lot of this would stop. But as
yeah.
long as and I made a video the other day talking about her and also Meghan Markle, and I talked about how they are really, I think, trapped in a PR death spiral, in the sense that I don't see that there's anything that they can do to change the negativity around them. And what I said in this video is that once you start these storms, these kinds of storms, think about like a tornado or something, you can't predict where it's going to go. And Meghan Markle with that Oprah interview and the Spare and Harry with the Spare book and all of that, and their negative press tour attacking the royal family, and then Blake Lively with these serious aggressive acts toward Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer, they started this storm, and now they want to whine because all of this attention that they've gotten kicked up and all this negativity is now coming back at them. That's just the way that modern media works. And that's why people should be really, really careful before they start some bad shit, before they falsely accuse someone. Just ask Amber Heard, right? She was just trying to get some extra money in a divorce settlement and some Me Too credentials, right? So she could go out and give speeches or whatever. And instead, she absolutely ruined herself because she assumed that Johnny Depp would just roll over and take it and would not fight back and would not sue her. And Blake Lively and her team assumed the same thing about Baldoni and Wayfarer. And now they are reaping the consequences of what they started.
Thank you for saying that. I think that's such an important thing to mention as well. And what this is doing to real victims.
Right.
Because they're taking, they're ruining it for real victims. So it's going to be harder to come out, because when people look at this and think, okay, that's what could happen, I think real victims is going to have more difficulties coming out. And that's so sad and terrible. And I really feel for all those women. Anyways, thank you so much for being here on my channel. And everyone has to go and watch your coverage of yourself being there, demonstrating justice for Johnny. Justice.
It is. It's like the same.
Justin. Yes.
It's deja vu. It's a deja vu. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute actually dream to be on here, because you have been so important to this whole story. And I'm so sorry, by the way, that Team Lively has accused you of being in bed with Team Baldoni's PR. And I keep saying this to everyone. I know so many content creators, and none of us are being paid by Justin Baldoni.
No.
None of us.
It's ridiculous. It's just, yeah. Oh my God. Thank you for saying that, by the way. All right. We're going to jump over to your channel now, so everyone can go there and watch another episode of us together talking about obviously the same things, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni.
Yes. Well, and I'm gonna ask you about your interview too, because I have some questions about your famous interview. So
yes.
All right.
I'll
well,
be
thank
happy
you so
to
much.
answer anything. All right. Thank you so much for Kristen for jumping on my show like this. You can find her on YouTube at Colonel Kurtz. I will leave a link in the description so you can watch our conversation on her channel as well. We talked about my infamous Blake Lively interview and other things, and go over and support her. She's doing like really deep dives into things, and she's done some great coverage. So yes, I hope you like my guest, and there'll be more to come. So please subscribe if you haven't, and hit the notification button. As I said before, so many people keep contacting me saying they've been unsubscribed from my channel. So yeah, we know there are people at work trying to suppress or silence creators. So yes, if you want to support us, please subscribe and hit the notification button. Anyways, thanks again for watching, you guys, and please keep sending me tips, or if you have people you want me to have on here on my channel to interview. Yeah, and I'll see you in my next episode. Bye.